a good afternoon to you all race fans. Welcome back to the breathtaking scenery of Mount Fuji here in Shizuoka, Japan. We're here today coming off the back of that epic win last week in Portimao, so Berland had to go again with Aston, didn't he? The question is, can he make a repeat of his performance at this round or not? He's qualified in P7 with a reasonable time for Berland in the 142s, but the grid today is stacked with stiff competition. He's been seeded 17th in the split, so he's not expected to finish in the top half. But the time for talk is over. We're getting ready for the green light. Can Berland make it 2 for 2? They are off! Berland is instantly down a place. Salvaged in the BMW got a hell of a jump on him at the start. The grid today is packed with thunderous V8s from Ford, Lexus and Aston Martin. What a glorious racket as we charge into Daiichi, the first right-hander. Berland holds the inside, but they are going to be 3 wide. No one wants to back down. Salvaged getting squeezed out onto the runoff. Berland recovering 2 of those lost places. He's back to where he started. Fur in the Mustang has the inside for Coca-Cola. That's going to put Berland on a bad line. He's back onto the tarmac, but Fur has taken the place. The car's still very bunched up as they exit 100R. This could cause some chaos when they reach the hairpin. Ooh, Stevenson and Fur getting their elbows out. That's given Berland an opportunity to try and pass. Straighten and Salvaged are closing rapidly as well. This is going to get interesting when they reach Dunlop. Berland cautious on the brakes. He doesn't want any part of this fight in front. Whoa, but the attack came from behind. Salvaged collected the rear quarter of Berland's car and bounced off into Vettel. That's allowed Straighten in the Mercedes to sail past, putting Berland down into 9th. And to top it off, Berland's carrying front and side damage, not even a lap into the race. He won't be happy with Salvaged for that. We're not off to an ideal start, are we? Salvaged trying to hang it round the outside, but Berland holds his ground and makes it to the apex of Panasonic first to just about hang on to P9. But the BMW will have the run on him now, down the straight. It's not a question of if, but when Salvaged will make the overtake. They're going to be side by side into turn 1. Vettel very close behind them. Who's better on the brakes? What? Salvaged nudging the rear quarter of Berland again. The resulting slide has cost him all that rolling speed. Salvaged doesn't hang about though. He's taking P9 and that's the end of it. Berland must be frustrated with him at this point. The question is now, what's he going to do about it? Can he match the pace of the Frenchman? Oh dear, he thinks he might have a gap to make a move. This is very risky. Bam! Berland should have known better than to try and make that work. Salvaged ended up getting collected by the front of his Aston, and they've traded places again. Grayson, Kikus and Vettel have all profited from that mistake though. Berland down into P12, and by the looks of it, Hans is going to make a serious push to make that P13. A very short-sighted play there from Berland. He's going to have to mentally shift now to a recovery drive. He'll need at least P12 to gain any driver rank from this race, and it's probably already too late for his safety rating. This is only lap 2, there's still a long way to go. Whoa! Salvaged has had another accident behind. That's going to take the pressure off Berland. It looked like 2 BMWs. It was hard to tell. Let me pull up the replay so we can see what happened. Alex Nino was the other BMW. Salvaged cut right across the nose of him. And wow! Nino looked to purposely drive into him and spun Salvaged the full 180. There is some pretty poor driving on display today, Berland included. Let's go back and take a look at the 2 incidents between Salvaged and Berland from on board. Salvaged certainly didn't look alongside, so Berland didn't leave him the space, and Salvaged didn't give the position back. And then 2 corners later, Berland showing very poor judgment. It was never going to work from that far back. They both ended up paying the price though, from being inside the top 10 to both carrying damage and being in the back half of the field. Very silly indeed. But let's shift focus back to what's happening now. Berlin has a decent gap behind him. Back to Chung, and he's within half a second of Hans in the Lexus. If he can get a clean final sector, he might be able to try for an overtake on the straight heading into lap 4. And it looks like Hans is getting held up by Vettel in the BMW, which is going to play into Berlin's hand. If he can do something about it before Chung behind catches them all up. You can see up ahead there is a bit of a train of cars forming behind the BMW of Mark Grayson. He qualified down in 18th, but the field is so close today that from 5th on the grid down to 19th, all the drivers put in times around 1:42. It's crazy close out there. Berland isn't going to be close enough to think about a pass this lap. Just as I say that, he takes a look on the inside, but I think that was probably more of a psychological trick for Hans than anything else. Oh dear, Vettel's going a bit wide there out of Coca-Cola. That's put him right offline as we go round 100R, but he seems to have recovered it quite well. There's no obvious reduction in the gap. Back to Hans and Berland. Although, as we exit the hairpin, things have closed up a little between him and Hans. Looks like Berland was a bit slower getting back on the power. And you can see now what I was talking about last lap. The view back from Hans shows just how much Chung in the white and red Lexus has closed onto the back of this train. That's not good news for Berland. The gap between them has been slashed by around 1 second. He's going to start feeling the pressure very soon. This is Berland's last chance to try and make a pass before he's going to get caught up battling with Chung. 0.4 seconds is the gap he needs to close in the draft behind Hans. His foot flat to the floor now. It's time to let the Aston do its thing and rocket down that straight. Hans has decided he needs to defend. Berland staying put on the outside. Hard on the brakes and down through the gears now. The Lexus has phenomenal traction out of the slow speed stuff. The Aston is really struggling to match it. He's locked in a stalemate, swapping a couple of tenths back and forth through each lap. He needs another plan if he wants to finish higher. We're going to skip to the start of lap 6. No major changes to report. Berland is probably going to have to bank on someone else making a mistake now, realistically. And that someone could be Vettel in the BMW. He's left the braking too late, and Hans is all over it. He's gunning for P11 straight away. This could be what Berland needs. Kickers in the Corvette is sluggish out of Coca-Cola as well. The status quo has definitely been shaken up a bit now. 4 cars ahead are starting to trip over each other. The hairpin is going to be busy. Berland gets a cracking exit out of the corner. Hans finally makes it past Vettel. The BMW seemingly struggling from the start of the lap. Is this what Berland needed? Can he do something with the hand he's been dealt here? Because if he can't, Chung is now within less than a second. Ooh, there was a slight contact there. Berland carried a bit too much speed. That's compromised him out of Dunlop. This has gifted Chung exactly what he was looking for. There's a traffic jam of cars snaking their way through this sequence of link corners. He's going to get a spot right at the back of Berland. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cars now in this train. The straight could see some changes in the order of things. really grabbing onto the back of Vettel's BMW at the end of the straight. He wants the outside again. Vettel is going to stay tight. The battered front end of his Aston filling the whole of the BMW's rear view. If Berlin can keep this pressure up, will Vettel crumble? We're already past the halfway mark of the race, just under 9 minutes left to go, so time is becoming a factor. And now, all of a sudden, Hans is back in the mix. That's put Berlin offline, and Chung is looking ready to pounce. Vettel's going for an unconventional line here. Oh no! He's cut across the front of Berlin and left him nowhere to go. The Aston has just about scraped through in front. But what was Vettel doing? Both him and Chung are looming large in the rear view of Berlin. Is Vettel going to repay the favour in Dunlop? Well, it looks like Berlin has just about managed to secure the position, but it certainly wasn't the cleanest overtake. Yet another scar to add to the front of his Aston. I bet the team will be up late sorting this out at the end of the race. I'm going to flick the feed on from Lako Mijic in the Lexus, who is leading the train, so we can see what's going on ahead. He's finally made it past Grayson's BMW after a long build-up, so can he keep hold of the place? Whoa, disaster! He spun it on the exit of Panasonic, and oh so unfortunate for Stevenson. He just got clipped, and that looks like the Ford is carrying damage now. It doesn't want to go in a straight line. Oh, he's going to head straight into the pits. That will be a massive time loss for him. Surely it's not worth it this close to the end of the race. It must be really beat up if he's made this call. But that's going to be double profit for Berland. He's finally clawed his way back inside the top 10, and with a bit of a buffer behind to Vettel as well, he's going to need to focus now and try and build that gap. As we see Hans making a big push now to get past Kickers in the Corvette. Is he going to try his luck into Coca-Cola? Oh, well, it's brought them door to door. If Hans can hold this round 100R, he could make the pass at the hairpin. Kikus just holding him off, but Hans is glued to his back bumper. Berland is going to go wide. Oh, what the heck?
But what are you, blind, McFly? It's there. How else do you explain that wreck out there?
Now, Biff, can I assume that your insurance is going to pay for the damage?
My insurance. It's your car. Your insurance should pay for it. I want to know who's going to pay for this. I spilled beer all over when that car smashed into me. Who's going to pay my cleaning bill? Hello? Hello? Anybody home?
Oh.
Think, McFly. Think.
Berlin mistimed the switchback. He's hit Hans, who pinballed into Kickers, and then Chung spun out trying to avoid it. That's very poor judgment again on Berlin's part. He really needs to get more time on this track with other cars and learn where the overtake opportunities are. Unbelievable! I think he's let Hans through there, not putting up much of a fight. The position was gained unfairly, and that's the least he could do for him. Let's take a look at the replay of it from trackside. Yeah, it was the tap from Berland being just enough to turn the back of the Corvette, just as he was getting back on the throttle. Chung had nowhere to go, and that curb is huge. It's no wonder he spun. Chung has rejoined in 15th, and Kickers, the innocent party in the initial shunt, is now running in 19th. And following that, we're skipping ahead again to the closing stages of the final lap. Berland wasn't able to get any closer to Hans due to the aero damage he sustained, but he was able to pull away from Vettel behind. The only company he had was from the lapped Ford of Stevenson, who pitted at the end of lap 7. So Berland is going to limp his battered and bruised Aston over the line in 9th. He achieved a top 10 finish, which is what he set out to do, but the way he went about it today was a far cry from his normal driving standards. There's going to be a lot of lessons for him to take away from this round, not least his over-eagerness on multiple occasions to go for gaps that weren't there. Anyway, let's take a look at the classified results. We had Ford, Lexus and Ferrari on the podium this week. Frenchman Thibaut Mosire took the top honours. He managed to finish a clear 23 seconds ahead of Berland. It certainly feels like we've gone from the highest of highs at the last race to a fairly flat performance this week. We should probably make Berland start from the pits at the next round as punishment. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. I'm going to get my backside out of here now before the angry mob looking for Berland come to ask me where he is. It's a clean slate next week. Hopefully you'll join us for that one. Until then, if anyone asks, you haven't seen me. Ciao for now.